Hey crew, it's Bit, and I'm back with another MBTI video. Today we are going to be looking at the inner workings of Victoria Nuland, who you may or may not have heard of, but she's hitting the news and is worth noting. And so we're going to see how her mind works. She is the assistant, where she's the Undersecretary of State in Foreign Relations. She deals with the European continent specifically, and what she says holds a lot of weight. And so we're going to go back and look at where she's coming from. We're going to deal with an older interview. This is May 22nd of 2014. It has 119 views. I really like finding these little gems hidden away and being able to use these gems in order to help the MBTI situation. Now, before we get started, I'm going to give my disclaimer and do a brief explanation. I am not a doctor. I am not a doctor. I hold no degree. I am just a man who has spent an awful lot of time researching the one thing. And the one thing is my own mind. And in order to understand my mind, I figured out the MBTI system, how to change it, how to fix it, how to make things work a little bit better, to organize things a little bit better, so that I could help myself. And now I'm hoping to help other people. The way that this works is that everybody is they have dichotomous choices, right? We're going to go ahead and pop it up on screen over here. You're either focused on things or ideas, and of those, you either gather new ones or you organize the old ones. You do that either for the self first or for the tribe first. You're either controlling, where you have to have control of the situation, and you're very tight in your movements, and you don't want to let anything outside of your control, or your movement, and you're very flexible around ideas. And you're either direct or informative. Direct can seem informative at times because it can go to great lengths, but it's never a circular explanation. If you get into a situation where there are circular explanations, that is informative. All right, now we're going to dig in. This is a conversation with Victoria Nuland from May 22nd, 2014. Let's see what she has to say, and we'll see what we can figure out about her mind as we go along.
I'm joined by Victoria Nuland, who's Assistant Secretary for European and Eurasian Affairs. Thank you for joining us, Assistant Secretary. We have about 20 minutes. I'm going to open the discussion, but I'd like to know how many people, if you can hear me, would like to ask questions as well. So I've got a sense of where discussion points may come from. I can see 3 or 4. Assistant Secretary, do you believe you're on top of the scale of the Ukraine crisis, given the level of shock that there's clearly been felt in Washington, at NATO, the European Union, and indeed by your ambassador in Moscow at the time, Michael McFaul?
All right, so what we're going to be looking for here, first off, is we're going to try and get an idea of ideas, gather, organize, right? She's either going to be talking about specific examples, or she's going to be talking about grand ideas. She's either going to be talking about new specific examples or grand ideas, or the old specific examples or grand ideas that are already known. And that's what we're trying to determine first.
Who said this?
The other things may jump out, but those are generally the first steps that I take, is to try and figure out things or ideas. If you can figure out things and ideas and gather and organize, the rest falls into place pretty easily.
Took everyone by surprise.
Well, Nick, I think that we all understand that this is a challenge not simply for Ukraine, not simply for the transatlantic relationship, but some of the choices that Russia has made have challenged the world order. So we
That's a very idea.
have to think about it in those terms. And as the United States, we're feeling the ripples of this as we go around and talk to our Asian partners. China is watching, Japan is watching, Southeast Asia is watching. Secretary Kerry was just in Africa. There was a lot of concern there about
Okay, so we had some specific examples of who is watching.
changing borders by force, and certainly in Latin America. So I think we sit here in Europe and we think about this as about Ukraine, as about Europe, but it's actually global.
But this is, there are those who say out there that this is a change now to normative thinking about Russia, particularly. And we heard from the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister here.
Okay, so what we had there was we had some grand ideas, and then we had some specific examples of the people who were reacting to those ideas.
It's a wake-up call. We were too complacent, took too much for granted. In other words, has there been a massive step change in your reassessment of the Russia you're dealing with now?
And I've got to say this. I drink a lot of water. A lot of water. There's no way I'm drinking 4 bottles of water in what's expected to be a 20-minute conversation. Like, that's a little weird. I wonder if there's some symbology there that I'm just missing. Like, I don't understand that.
Nick, I would put it differently. We and many of the people in this room have been involved for some 22 years.
Me and many other people in this room. That's a tribe appeal. So that is a very tribe-centered thing, right? She's trying to get their attention. And it's not a very specific thing either.
Years since the Soviet Union broke up, in trying to knit Russia into the fabric of Europe, into the fabric of an open democratic system. We've had success and...
I'm picking up some movement too. She's using her hands a good bit, and she's seeming flexible in the way that she's going to institute the things that she's wanting to do. Let's back that up just a bit.
To knit Russia into the fabric of Europe, into the fabric of an open democratic system.
That right there is very organized ideas. Like that is very organized ideas. Let's listen to that example one more time.
Europe in trying to knit Russia into the fabric of Europe, into the fabric of an open democratic system. We've had success and
Now you see what I'm saying? That's very much a idea, and this is what we have decided is the best idea. That is a very NI statement.
some setbacks over this period, but the premise of the case has always been that we should be encouraging Russia to make the kinds of reforms so that it could join us in our institutions, so that it could be a partner. But that...
We want you in our idea, but you have to do this sensory first. You haven't exampled this sensory to me. That's given me you need to give us the new sensory.
required, that was based on an understanding that the rules of global governance...
Again, with an idea, and a very organized idea.
the rules that...
And very tribe-centered. Again, she's still using her hands, so that's very much a movement thing. She does not seem to be informative. We're not getting any circular arguments, any circular explanation, any circular logic. It seems to be quite direct.
undergird the Helsinki community were a sort of a compact among us. So what has happened is not so much that we've changed, but that President Putin has made a choice that those rules no longer apply to Russia.
But
so that requires an adjustment.
And that right there is a movement statement that requires an adjustment, is a movement statement that's flexing around an idea. She's again talking about the ideas. She's not talking about the sensory, the things that we can actually touch and put our hands on, the actual lists or any of that. She's talking about the grander idea and the one that they have decided is the best one. That is very ideas, very organized. She's showing a lot of tribe. There's a lot of we, there's a lot of us, but there's not a lot of me and I. Now, I get that she's talking from her position, but even in your position, if you look at other examples, there are people who in the position are still talking about the I. She's talking about the we and the us. She seems to be movement. She's moving her hands a good bit. She's flexible on ideas, and she seems to be direct. So we could probably get a pretty accurate type now. We're going to get some confirmation first.
Do you in Washington get how profound this change is?
I think I started there, that it's profound for us, not just in a Ukrainian or European context, it's profound for us in a global context, because countries all around the world, either who aspire to have a chunk of somebody else's territory or are afraid that somebody will take a chunk of theirs, are watching very carefully.
And again, that's another idea statement, and that is a determinative idea statement. People are watching very carefully. That's not a list of this people She listed once earlier in support of her idea, but she's not giving specific examples. She's talking around the objects. She's talking about the ideas.
Foreign Minister Rinkevich, about
It's a good example.
half an hour ago, said that President Putin aims to keep Ukraine as unstable as possible. Is that your assessment?
You know, I personally, and I think we corporately long ago have stopped trying to read the mind of President Putin, so I won't predict where he is going. But clearly, we would not consider what he is doing stabilizing. We would not consider it good neighborly behavior, and we would ask why it's to Russia's advantage for Ukraine to be unstable, for Ukraine not to come together as a unitary state, economically supported by the West in a manner that could be a good trade partner for Russia. Why does this benefit Russia's economy or anything else?
From the Oval Office downwards now, is there a kind of acceptance that the unthinkable now has to be thinkable?
Meaning?
With Russia, in other words.
And again, that was a lot of tribe statements. She seems to be movement. She seems to be flexible. She seems to be direct. She's not giving circular explanations. Like he's asking her to explain, she gives an explanation. She's not giving multiples. Like me, I'm doing that because I'm working on my informative. And so I try to hit it from a couple of different directions.
What might have not seemed possible or probable, say back in December when it came to Ukraine and Crimea, is the kind of thing that could easily happen. And therefore, you have to make a judgment that that is possible now, as opposed to totally unlikely.
Well, I think there was a concerted effort when they started challenging Crimea to encourage them to step back. That obviously failed. Then after Crimea, to encourage them to allow the rest of Ukraine to move forward. But now we see this intense challenge in the east.
It's funny how there was a 4-year pause in that intense challenge. That's so funny.
One could argue a renewed effort to take another.
Like she was there, and then she wasn't there, and now she's there again.
Chunk of Ukraine. Where does it stop? I think this is the concern, and this is why you see us working with the European Union. You see us working with partners globally to try to set forward a very clear and well understandable deterrent, namely to say that if the May 25th elections don't go forward, if Russia continues to destabilize Ukraine, that there will be further, deeper, and now sectoral economic sanctions on Russia. And we do believe what we've already done is starting to bite.
And so, again, we have a very much ideas thing there. She listed a few things, she did, but that was in support of the idea. Again, she seems to be overarching with the ideas, the organized ideas. We have already decided that this old information, this is the best course. That's what organized ideas is. This is the best idea. Organized things is this is the best car. Gather is there's this option, this option, this option, this option. But they don't really tell you which one's the best option. We could go eat here, 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 or here, but they ain't gonna tell you what they want to eat. So it seems to be very much that we're looking at an ENFJ alternate. She's an alternate because she's direct. She's not informative. She's not overstepping. She's not drawing out her answers. She's not circling any. She's not rabbit holing at all. And she seems to be very direct. And that makes it the alternate. That puts the introverted, conserve energy in the third slot, as opposed to the extroverted, giving energy into the third slot. And so that is going to be an FeNiTiSe. She's going to be very protective about what she thinks, right? She's going to take in what everybody feels, and then she's going to make a determination in what is the best course after that. That is FeNI. She's going to consider everybody's feelings in her determination without even thinking about it, but it's what she considers everybody, right? It's her tribe. Whatever that happens, it's your tribe. If you are the FE, it is your tribe that you're concerned about. If you are the SE, it is your tribe you're concerned about. It's not anybody else's tribe. So her tribe is completely different from other people's tribes.
There are questions and trade-offs and choices for Putin to make.
You say they're starting to bite. I have to say there's skepticism in this room and elsewhere that really sanctions are having any impact at all. We heard from Andrei Ilyarinov.
So what we should see, here's what we should see in the next few minutes. We should see her talking about the concerns of others leading to this determination. We should see her being defensive about her ideas, what she thinks about like if by some chance she gets pressed on what she thinks, then she's going to be defensive about it, and then she's just going to, as an afterthought, do the SE. As an afterthought, she's going to present you with the options, and that's what we've been seeing so far. Let's see what we see on the way out.
Who's now at the Cato Institute, but formerly...
We're not going to finish this video. We still got 10 minutes in it. We're 16 minutes in. I'm going to give it a few more minutes for confirmation. I will provide a link so that you can go back and check it out.
Economic advisor to Presidents Yeltsin and Putin, that they're not having any effect. They're not taken seriously at all. Do you have any metrics, any evidence to suggest that actually they are biting in a way which you hoped for?
Yeah, there are plenty of metrics, so I'm not sure what metrics Mr. Ilyanov is looking at.
Well, there we go. There is some TI pushback right there, right? He said that the guy was asking for evidence of her thought, and she's like,
But our metrics include some $30 billion spent to prop up the ruble just since March, some $60 billion in capital flight just since the beginning of the year, almost as much as all of 2013. Bond ratings now hovering just above junk. The IMF saying that Russia is on the verge of recession. So the numbers...
It's funny how all of that took a 4-year break, too.
...are actually quite profound.
That is quite profound.
Particularly when you consider that, you know, between us, we've sanctioned some 45 people. We haven't even gone to sectors of the economy.
Between us, this group cooperation.
Let me open it up. Who would like to ask any questions? There was over here, please. A microphone here. Anyone else?
That was a good example of the T.I. Chow pushback right there. And for her bringing in the examples on the back end. Like, she hasn't listed examples throughout the whole thing. Like, she has. When I say she hasn't, it's not an absolute. I very rarely ever deal in absolutes. But she brought up the examples as a support to her idea. It's on the back end. I'm pretty good with the ENFJ alternate. It fits pretty well. And I'm pretty satisfied with us seeing a little bit of what's going on in her mind. Right? This is the things that she's thinking about. And it helps us to understand our own minds, hopefully. That's what I'm trying to do here, is help us to understand our own minds. This system helped me to understand myself, my shortcomings, so that I could start to overcome them. That's what I'm hoping to help y'all do. If you like what I'm doing, give me a like, give me a share, give me a sub, throw me a comment down below. Let me know that you appreciate what we're doing here. Because I'm trying to help people. Like, that is what the goal is here. The goal of this channel is to help people. I do it in my reaction videos by amplifying these voices, and I do it by talking about very heavy issues in there that people just don't want to talk about, people don't want to touch. I do it through these videos by talking about a part of psychology that people dismiss, completely throw it out of hand because it is not objectively applicable. And I hope to be able to make it objectively applicable. I hope that I did a little bit of that today. I hope that I explained to you how I did what I did, why I did what I did, and how to know that it's working. You can identify the things. Once you see it, it changes the whole world for you. It really does. It'll put a whole new spin on everything. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me. And I am praying for you every single day. Till next time, this has been Pet State. Peace.